This is my Sony KDS-60A3000 television. It's a rear projection 60-inch TV. It uses SXRD panels to generate the picture. I bought it in 2007. It's a little bit more narrow than the A2000 series that came before it. The A2000 series and a bunch of the previous SXRD TVs had an issue with a green blob that would slowly appear over the picture over time, and it was due to the UV light that was hitting the blue panel, and only the blue panel of the light engine. The chips that the SXRD uses are very small. I've got one here. You can see that it's really tiny, and you can replace the blue panel actually with any one of the red, green, or blue chips. So if you happen to find one, you can actually open up the TV and replace it yourself. I actually just did that with my TV. The issue then is that when you replace the chip, you end up with an alignment issue. The chip isn't exactly aligned with the other chips in the TV, and it isn't aligned with the way the old blue chip that was in there was aligned. However, it's not that difficult to fix in the service menu of the TV. So I'm going to show you how to actually fix that in the TV. At some point I'm hoping to actually make a video of me fixing the TV myself. My TV had the green blob, no longer does, as you can see. The colors are beautiful and back to factory condition again. I don't know how much longer it's going to last like that. I got 6-7 years out of the previous chip. I'm hoping to get that much more out of this one, but if I don't, I'll buy a new TV, and this one will get chucked, unfortunately. Anyway, I'll get on with showing you how to actually do the convergence alignment through the service menu. Now, to get to the service menu, I've got my remote here. I don't know if you can see that or not, but you have to start with the TV off in order to get into the service menu. If you do it quickly, you can turn the TV off and then press display 5, volume up, and power again, and you can turn it back on, and it'll turn it back on and get into the service menu. Let me see if I can do that really quick here. So power off, display 5, volume up, power on again. The lamp actually hadn't shut off there. It was still on. It does that for a little bit after you turn the TV off. You can see here's the service menu. There are a whole lot of different settings in here. This TV was it was only made for about a half a year or so before Sony decided that rear projection TVs were no longer going to be profitable for them, and they decided to drop the entire RPTV line, which was unfortunate because it was a cheap way to get a really big TV at the time. It took a little while for the LCDs to really catch up with the rear projection TVs in terms of price. But anyway, this TV was probably the most advanced. It's 120 hertz, so it can do interpolation, that sort of thing, to create frames that smooth out the motion. Really looks good too. Very film-like quality on the picture. But anyway, once you're in the service menu, you can hit the jump button, and that'll take you to another menu, and then one more. And then one more until you get to the BEM menu. I don't know if you can see that up in the upper left corner of the screen. It says BEM. And there are a whole ton of settings here. Just cycle through them. You hit the 2 button or the 5 button to scroll up or down. And what we want to find is the one that says 0015 Regi, R-E-G-I. And I'm going to scroll up to number 15, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. There's Regi. That means registration. And you can adjust the blue and the red registration, but you can't adjust the green. The green is set and you're supposed to adjust everything else to match the green. What you want to do then is you want to use the 1 and the 4 keys to go through the sub-menu. And this one, the number 1 says Regi on, that's pre-filter on. The number 3 is Regi demo on. 4 is pre-filter demo on. I'm just going to go up here. So I see red HShift. And that's set at 128 right now. I think that's the default. And red VShift is 128. Now you can see bool HShift, they misspelled blue. I think that's kind of funny. Is way off from where the red is. And the reason for that is that I replaced the chip. And when I replaced it, it was off by probably like 2 or 3 pixels in both vertical and horizontal. Like I said, these chips are really small, and if you when you replace it, there's no way you're going to get it back in the same spot. The amount of each little nudge is several pixels, so there's no way that you can get it to be right on. But luckily, it does have this menu. The important thing is that when you replace the chip, is that you get it straight or close to straight, because there's basically no way to adjust the tilt of the display. Well, there is. We'll get to that later. But it's not perfect. I got mine pretty close. So once you are in the service menu for blue HShift and blue VShift, you can actually use the 3 and the 6 buttons to adjust it. I'm going to adjust the vertical shift because you can see this white horizontal line here. It should be pretty apparent what I'm doing when I adjust it. So let's change to, oops, I hit the wrong button. Let's go back up there. Blue vertical shift is actually what I want to adjust. So it's at 167. I'm going to remember that because I want to set it back there when I'm done, because it's pretty much perfect right now. So if you go, I'm adjusting it up here. And the picture just kind of starts to get way out of whack. And basically it's shifting the entire image up and down with this setting. So I'm going to set it back to where it was before. And you can do the same thing with the horizontal shift. And you can do that. That was set at 95, so I don't remember where that was. If you end up in a spot where you really don't like what you've done, or there are a whole lot of items here that you can adjust that maybe you don't like where you set it, well, don't panic. Nothing is actually saved until you hit the mute button and 0. That's what actually writes to the chip, and you'll actually see once you hit muting, it will actually change. It'll put a write text up on the screen, and when you hit 0, it'll actually change to red to indicate that it's written. If you don't like what you've done, you can always turn off the TV. I'd actually unplug it as well. Let all the fans turn off, and then unplug it. And then once you plug it back in, everything will be back to where it was before, or at least the last time that the muting and the 0 was hit. All right, so I'm going to take a pause, throw up another screen here, and I'll get back to the more interesting thing, which this TV has that the older TVs did not have, which is the fine adjustment for the registration of the colors. All right, so we're back in the BEM menu, in the Regi menu under BEM, and then There's actually one more setting under there. There's bool HShift and bool vertical shift. Again, they misspelled blue. And then you get up to 11, and it's actually fine adjust start. It's right there. So this TV actually has this fine adjustment. I think it was, they probably were able to do it because the chips on this TV were a little slightly faster than the A2000 chips, the ones that generate the video. And it's actually able to somewhat warp the video as it's being processed, so that you can adjust the blue and the red independently on coordinates on the screen. And I think they probably did this, I'm just speculating here, to ease manufacturing. They probably didn't have to align it quite as much during the manufacturing of the light engine. And they have this setting built in that was probably fast or easy to adjust at the factory, so that the TVs came out looking good, with less requirement on the tolerances for the manufacturing of the light engine. That's just my speculation. Anyway, to start this, all you have to do is hit the 0 button once you're there, and it brings up this screen with a nice grid of that should look white. Now, if you've replaced the chip or or your TV's, I'm not sure what would cause this to be thrown off. I actually went through when I got the TV new, and this was a little bit off, and I went in and adjusted this back in 2007 when I had the TV, and this menu was discovered. So I really had to adjust this a lot once I replaced the blue chip. The blue was really shifted quite a bit, and this allows you to do a lot more adjustment than the course registration does from the previous part of the video. So the way that you access this, and the keys are a little bit different. You use 2, 5, 4, and 6 as up, down, left, right, essentially. So 2 is up, 5 is down, 4 is left, 6 is right. In order to swap from red to blue, you hit the 3 button. Okay, and now you see it's still the cursor is still white. Once you actually want to select a particular coordinate to adjust, you hit the 0 button, and you'll see it actually change the cursor to the color that you're going to be adjusting. And then you hit the 3 button and you can adjust red or blue. It's actually really quite fast to do this. Now when I hit the 2, the 5, the 4, the 6 buttons, it's not going to actually move the cursor. It's going to move the registration of that particular coordinate, and it sort of warps the red or the blue image a little bit in that area, shifts it, stretches it, and just basically gets it so that all of the red, the green, and the blue pixels line up. Now, to like a video purist, that might seem like crazy, but the fact is that this TV, you're never going to get it actually absolutely perfect. It's projecting the colors onto the screen. Each color bends a little bit differently in the lenses due to chromatic aberration. There are and the fact is that LCD TVs, the pixels aren't displayed one right on top of another either. The subpixels are all right next to one another. This one actually tries to overlay the colors right one on top of another, and I think it gives a really good image when you do that. It's a little softer than an LCD, but I really like what it comes up with. So I'm going to pause the video. I'm going to zoom in, and I'll show you exactly what I did to do this. Okay, so this is right in the middle of the screen. There's text above that you can't see, but you probably saw it in the previous part of the video. It says Blue 7.5-1.75 2.63, and I think that's just the adjustment that you've made to the pixels for this particular coordinate. I think that 7 and 5 probably is referring to the coordinate on the screen, that particular grid mark that we're going to be adjusting. Unfortunately, on the camera here, it's a little hard to tell. That's actually the blue. That's the red. So again, you select with 0. That's white. You can move it around once it's white. You hit 0 to start editing, and then you can actually move the blue pixels around here relative to the green pixels. Again, you cannot adjust the green. The green is set from the factory, and you must make red and blue match the green. That's actually a good thing, because if you had the green to adjust as well, you'd get into a real mess of what's square and what's actually what you're actually supposed to be measuring up to. Are you supposed to be putting the green pixel to the blue, or the blue to the green? It would get really confusing. This is much better. The interesting thing here is that this is a 1080p TV, and when you adjust the pixels here, it doesn't move one pixel at a time. It kind of turns on the row or the column next to it, but very faintly, and sort of adjusts in that manner by slowly ramping up one row of pixels and ramping down the previous row of pixels in order to move the registration. Now, again, to a video purist, that might seem like blasphemy that you're blurring the image that way. But when you're sitting, 8 feet back from this TV, you're not going to notice that this has happened on one particular blue pixel in the eye of the actor's face on the screen. You just won't notice it. And once you do get it lined up, it looks fantastic. So I'm actually going to do some movement here. I'm going to move the blue pixels over to the left a bit here. This is actually set up pretty well. I did this earlier in the day, and I think I actually went through every coordinate on the screen. There are a lot of them, and adjusted them all. I'm going to make some adjustments here. It's actually really fast to do it. I'm going to move this kind of out of whack. So I'm moving the blue over to the left. I don't know if you can actually see that or not. It's actually pretty far out right now. So you can see the blue is kind of bending over on this way here. Yeah, you can actually make that out on the video, so that's good. And you can do the same thing with red. You can move the red over to the other side, and I'll kind of show you that we really have 3 different colors here. You can see the green's in the center. The red is bowed out to the side. The blue is bowed out to this side. But the vertical is actually pretty much the same as it was before. So what you really want to do here, I'm going to adjust the red again. I'm going to move the red back over the green, and it should turn yellow. Alright, and you want to get it so that you really don't see any more fringe of red on either side. You might see a little bit, but it'll be minimal. Alright, so that's pretty good there. That's a yellow line there, and then we're going to move the blue. We're going to move the blue over to the right. And there we go. That's about as good as you're going to get. You can do the same for every coordinate on the screen. It takes a long time. Once you're done with the column, what I would suggest you do is hit mute and 0, and that'll write all of your edits that you've done into the flash memory of the TV, and it'll save it. If you hit the 8 button and then 0, it will reset everything in this particular fine registration screen. Don't do that. What I do is I put like a piece of Scotch tape over the 8 button so that I make sure that I don't hit that button. I accidentally hit it earlier today. I had to turn off the TV, unplug it, and once I plugged it back in and turned it back on, everything was back to looking good. But for that moment, the screen was really out of whack. Everything was shifted relative to the green. I think that's actually basically it. Once you do this to every point on the screen, you'll have an image that is about as sharp as you can get on this TV, and I think it looks really good. Alright, and thanks a lot. I'm going to hopefully throw up a video on how to actually replace the SXRD chip in the TV, the blue one that always tends to fail on these TVs. I made a video as I was taking apart everything, and I actually don't know how that turned out yet. I haven't looked at the video. But hopefully it turned out well, and I'll be able to make a how-to on how to do this. It took me about, like, from 10 a.m. to about 4:30 p.m., so it's really not that bad a job, but you should really be very familiar with electronics and how to plug in ribbon cables and that sort of thing. I messed up on one of the ribbon cables and got a completely green picture at first. Took it all apart again, put it all back together, and it worked, and everything came out looking really good. So it looks just like it came from the factory back in 2007. Thanks a lot, and look for that other video. Thanks.